Many writers, used to being alone, think that it's natural to begin there. A writer sitting in a room, puzzling out a series of thoughts. Only it's not a writer. It's a bartender looking at patrons. It's a teacher watching students file out from a room. It's an ice cream vendor watching others in a park. Somebody, by themselves, with the power to observe, who can express a series of thoughts that revolve around feeling superior to others. Let me just reach in and gently lift your hands from the keyboard, setting them in your lap. Don't start your story this way. Distance is not insight. Observing is not a story. Feeling superior is not a virtue. Stories don't happen to people, they happen between them. It's far more interesting to watch two people struggling to figure each other out than to watch us wrestling with ourselves. So let's do that. Let's put the pity party on a shelf and write a story about two people. Here's what makes it hard. Neither of these people are going to be us. Repeat the aphorism, we do better when we explain other people than explaining ourselves. If that makes you uncomfortable, that's a good thing. Getting past the impulse of writing for a mirror is our first task. We should be a window into the rest of the world. This improves the likelihood that someone will like our story. After all, now they have three people they might potentially relate to rather than one. Person A, Person B, and us, describing the other two. What comes next is even less savory for many an artist. These people have to like each other. Stories about people hating each other are irritating, two-dimensional, and inevitably tiresome. There are too many stories that indulge this. There's a tendency to think that conflict produces tension, and that two characters arguing or hating each other creates the best sort of conflict. But in fact, there's more conflict and tension in two people trying to feel each other out, trying to decide if they love each other, or if it's safe to need each other, than what we'll achieve through anger and hate. So let's lean into this part of human nature and make our two people care. Creating a scene that enables this demands a clarity about spontaneous human interaction. With improv theater, it's known as the yes principle. The expectation is that when person A says something odd, off-color, intrinsically emotional, or whatever, the other person must go with it in a fully committed, positive way. No other option is permitted because every other option kills the interaction. Let's take something simple. The simpler, the better, because things that happen every day are instantly comprehensible. Writers tend to poo-poo the ordinary, rushing towards worlds that are already constructed of weird bricks. But the better goal is to start plain, then add bricks of whatever shape we want in due course. So as we begin to stain our blank white page with symbols, let's be boring. A character in line at a grocery lifts her card to pay for groceries, and the card reader doesn't recognize it. She tries again, and it fails again. And she does something off color. She breaks down crying. Now this can be a man or a woman. Each embraces its own social characterization. Our other character, again a woman or a man, has been put in a place, like an improv performer in our imagination, where they must say yes. How might we best do that? Our ability as a writer depends on how we answer this question. A poor writer reaches for the most obvious solution. Person B offers to pay, person A accepts, person B says something cute, person A says something cute back, an invitation is given, our person A and B are in a coffee shop explaining themselves to each other. Normal, everyday, positive interaction. It works, but could it be better? Here is the real struggle. where a writer steadily progresses in ability from ordinary to talented. Writing instructors, lacking any better way of lifting a writer's senses, fall back on gimmicks and techniques like write your way out of a paper bag, which compels the writer to solve a problem that initially appears insolvable. But this approach is misdirected. We don't get out of paper bags in writing literature. We write ourselves into them by failing to understand that mundane, easy solutions are not the answer we want. We can be ridiculously inventive, writing our way out of a bag, an artificial constraint we'll never have to solve. But writing our way out of the mundane, our daily experience, is far harder. We live in the mundane. It is our crippling illness. There is already a strong tendency to shatter the mundane with a weird brick. And then the aliens landed, which is laughable, makes for good comedy, and sometimes achieves a temporal success with an audience until someone else tops it. But the majority of readers won't buy in. They're too jaded. They know the writer ran out of ideas, which is true. We didn't solve the conundrum at the cash register. We had aliens do it for us. We should not blame the reader when they can clearly see the hand waving behind the curtain. If we remove the failed card, we can find an example of this scene solved by someone 50 years ago in a song that hit home. Dan Fogelberg wrote, "Met my old lover in a grocery store. The snow was falling Christmas Eve. I stole behind her in the frozen foods, and I touched her on the sleeve." There are no weird bricks, no sudden spectacle, just a man seeing an old lover in a grocery store. It is universal, it is timeless, it demonstrates how hard a perfectly normal, mundane scene can punch right in the gut when ordered rightly. If this construction can hold the weight it does, why shouldn't we be able to match that? We are living lives that are full of intensely felt moments, thousands of which have never been implanted into a story, have never risen above the story we tell others in the coffee break room, and yet which we still remember with perfect clarity decades after they've happened. Bitterly, happily, embarrassingly, with emotions that others can share as intensely as we felt them. Those moments are waiting, ready to be put to use. Some will be hard to employ. We may find ourselves tearing up as we write out the words. Others will arouse shame that is so acute that we feel pain with every keystroke. But what we feel, the reader can feel. What we have experienced, the reader can also. That is intrinsic to the whole pattern of this human experiment we're stuck within. None of us have seen the aliens land. We've almost all had ex-lovers. Mind you, this isn't about writing what we know. It is writing what we felt.